fantastic outfit. I love it.
Thank you.
Nice to see like not a black suit on the stage. So you are the co-founder of Be Uninterrupted, which I looked into, and it's really interesting. I've not heard of anyone doing this before. So your company advises women on how to negotiate or avoid interruptions in their career, which obviously can be caused by like family or having a family or not feeling like you've got access towards the next step. So can you tell us about what inspired you to start that platform?
Yes, absolutely. And it's also a privilege to share the stage with such incredible women. Thank you for having me. So Be Uninterrupted, it's exactly what you said. We help women avoid or navigate over 150 interruptions. These cover career, health, finances, family, and relationships. And each of those categories actually leads back to career. Because if you think about something like getting pregnant, having children, I have 3 of my own, going off on that leave and coming back, it's very difficult to do that and actually retain the position that you held with the same amount of exposure that you used to get, with the same team that you had, and pieces have moved. So something that's family and relationships still affects career. You think of something like financials and both pay quality, but also access to funds, building credit, all of that affects your ability to have confidence, to go start your own business or to build something for yourself or take a career risk. You may not be willing to do that if you have volatility in your finances, which could have come from years or decades of pay inequality. And it's the same with health. It's very difficult to focus on building a long-term career when you or a loved one is going through a health challenge, physical or mental. So we actually use AI and technology as well as human connection to help women navigate all of those moments. And now you asked me why we started. I'll actually say we have a young woman in the audience. That's why we started it. Because I think about women in school graduating from university at similar rates to men, but the numbers and proportions change over time. So while there is an equality at school graduation, it continues to decrease in women's representation as they move up that corporate ladder. So 22% of positions at the executive level are held by women, and it drops to around 10% at that CEO role. Why? I grew up hearing a lot about the glass ceiling, but if it was glass ceiling, we would be at 50% and then it would drop, but that's not the case. It's like there's a constant uphill battle or steps of interruption after interruption that continue to whittle away at women's position in the corporate world. And not only did I as a corporate executive feel that uphill battle working for some of the biggest companies in the world in big roles, but I saw it in my teams. And I would see, especially being in that human capital transformation space, working with companies to get to the next level of their own evolution, sitting through something like a performance review, talent review at the executive table, and hear the different conversations that would happen. I give you the example. This is a real example without naming names. I was sitting within the talent review of a massive multinational, and this company had an open leadership role. One woman was pregnant, and someone else who could have been a candidate for the role was a man not pregnant. And the conversation was very different because you might expect it to be, oh, she's not going to be here, we're going to wait, because I certainly heard that conversation over and over as excuses for why a woman wasn't getting the role. But this one was different. This was different because the conversation about the woman was, well, she hasn't had a lot of people leadership experience yet, so she's not ready for the role. The conversation with the man was, well, he hasn't had a lot of people leadership experience, so let's elevate him into this role so he gets that opportunity. And he did get that role. So it was really lived experience and seeing this firsthand to know, aside from the stats, this is absolutely real. It's not one company, it's not one location. I've worked in 14 countries around the world with over 60 clients, and it's pervasive. So we do need our own support system so that women don't have to learn the hard way every single time.
That's really interesting, because you hear it's quite a common, I don't know how to describe it, quite a common thing that you hear, that men will apply for jobs that they are 50% qualified for, whereas a woman needs to be like 98, 100% qualified before she would even put herself forward for the role. And that's kind of that in action, right? So that's them actually judging us in the same way we're judging ourselves.
Well, that's exactly it. We have been conditioned, as we heard in earlier panels as well, we've been conditioned to operate in a system that is not fair. If it was fair, we would be more likely to have equal outcomes, but we don't. So there's a certain level of us opting out when it's pretty unlikely that we will have the privilege of being 50% qualified for a role and still get that opportunity to try it, while that's not the case for others.
So do you work with the leaders making those decisions as well as the women applying for the jobs to kind of retrain their thinking as well?
So we actually work nationally, where it's a membership organization and women can join, any woman in Canada. We have no restrictions around age, stage, seniority. We're an inclusive system in that if someone sees the benefit, they can join us. And then we provide support through vetted partners, relationships, referrals to a support system that's helped 100 executive women in Canada who came on as our founding members navigate their own career interruption. So it's from their lived experience. But then we have a number of organizations we work with as well. So I think back to our recent summit in September. We had a sold-out summit of 430 women. It was our first big event as a company. We've been operating just under a year and a half. And companies really stepped up. They brought women in, and it was a series of conversations that were not easy. We talked about what it takes to get to the C-suite, what it takes to overcome barriers in negotiation, all negotiation, for jobs, for the next level, for a house, a car, whatever it is. How do you negotiate for impact? We talked about the financial landscape and how women build wealth. And all of these things we talked about were honest, authentic, open. They were not sugar-coated, and yet companies brought their women leaders to learn and benefit from the knowledge that we were sharing that would make them more powerful in the workspace, that would help them negotiate better for roles, for salaries within their own companies. So we are seeing companies see the need and actually walk the talk with representation and investment.
Well, that's good news at least. So can you tell us a bit more about how you're using AI and data analytics to kind of level that playing field for women in leadership roles?
Yeah, so I'll tell you, some of what we do is we use a chatbot to connect women with that vetted information. So we did not open it up to the realm of data. We didn't say anything on OpenAI is food for our people. It's all within a closed system, vetted sources. We also are building an algorithm now for member matching. So we have member matching today that's based on self-disclosure. So it's not only about getting access to the partners and vetted information in written forums, webinars, events. It's about saying, for example, I'm going through a personal issue. Pretend it's fertility or buying a house or getting to the next level of my career or joining a corporate board, dealing with empty nests, my children going away to school, whatever that issue is. We currently have self-disclosure where our members can opt to say, I experienced this and I'm willing to talk about it. We then have a matching system that connects those members. So it's not based on seniority, age, stage, industry. It's about that lived experience of saying, I've been through this, I know what works and what doesn't. I will share that with you. We are going to be using AI for that path to say, what is the optimal match? Because many women have gone through all of those examples that I shared. So how do you know that it should be me speaking with Claudine, or it should be me speaking with Jennifer, or me speaking with another woman who's had that lived experience? If a woman's just lost her job, does she want to speak with somebody of her age, stage, industry, or does she want somebody who's a completely different safe source who she'll never meet in real life? That's where we're able to soon use data and algorithms to be able to make the optimal matches.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. So a question for all of you now. So you're all using AI in some way to make a positive change, and you're all kind of training